Yeah, so this is a private patch, again, third segment on this particular patch. And so what I'm doing here, I'm cutting my way west on the northern boundary. And I'm cutting my way down into a corner to the west. And on this little block, I've got a fairly deeply incised draw that runs kind of northwest just to the south of the corner. And so it really creates kind of an obstacle. This is really nice wood. It's tall, it's got good form, pretty good size, a lot of it. And so it just kind of creates an obstacle like we all run into from time to time. And so I just wanted to talk about some of the things I do to mitigate that obstacle, kind of geared again towards maybe somebody that is interested in buncher, or maybe is running buncher but just started. Some of the kind of tricks that I use to make it work well. So I've cut my way back into the corner, and now I'm working up towards the landing. In this scene, it's kind of off to my right. And so this wood that I'm cutting now, the shovel's going to have to pull back slightly. I'm putting it in as best of an angle as I can, working with the boundary off to my left. But I'll have to pull it back a little bit, then grab it by the butt and swing it up into the landing. But when I work my way up to the top of the draw, what I'll be doing, I think this is the first stick to put down. Basically, I'm going to be tipping this stuff up the draw right at the landing. And the reason I'm doing that, as you can see, these are nice trees. There's quite a lot of red fir, but there's also quite a lot of whitewood, both hemlock and fir. And there's some beautiful cedar too. Cedar is pretty delicate stuff, and it's quite valuable. And so by throwing these sticks up the draw, I'll ensure the best of my ability, anyhow, we'll see, but that it's a good lay, and they'll lay down flat. If I fell those out of the draw sideways, they'd brow on the angle at the top of the draw, if that makes sense, and there'd be a lot of breakage, big breakage. And so anyhow, what I'm doing now is I'm on the north side of the draw, and I'm kind of yo-yoing, that's what I'd call it, up and down the hill, working my way down towards the property line. So in this scene, you can see I'm looking down into the draw. Property line is down there on the right. And so I'll face the trees up as I go up the hill, and then unhook them on the way down. I walked this draw before I got going, and I just wanted to kind of mention something about that. You know, I mean, draws, when I work on them, and I mean, when I walked it, it looked fairly dry, but you know there's water down in there somewhere. When I work in a draw, I guess I kind of go on the assumption that there's a good chance I'm going to get down in there and get stuck. And so a lot of what I do is kind of insurance against that. And whether that's sniping up stumps so I don't get hung up on them trying to get out, or, you know, dicing up trail mix so I have something to walk on down the bottom. Those are important things. I mean, I'd rather do a little bit of preemptive work so I don't get stuck than get stuck and try to get out. Again, I'm firing these pretty much, the tip is right on the outside of where the landing will be. And again, I'm going to snipe this stump up. I'm going to be throwing quite a bit at it as I work my way down. And that's just good practice, you know. Just a little bit of an angle on both sides will really help you out if you happen to get close to it or hit it, you know. That it'll deflect the energy, and hopefully, if you do misjudge and hit it, slide the stick off rather than breaking it into chunks. So anything small enough, like this little stick here, I can pack it up and throw it out more and lead with that other wood, I'll do that. Like I said, this draw had some big sticks in it, and quite a bit of it I was just directionally falling. I think this is the first of a really nice group of big cedar down here. There's more on that. There's kind of a real group of them on that southern side we'll cut later, but the cedar's nice wood. It's very valuable. These are nice sticks, so anything we can do to ensure they save out, because they are quite brittle, is really good for the landowner, and of course it's good for us too. So this is a big white fir here, and you know, white wood in general, I mean, like white fir, it has such nice form. It's a real pretty tree. It grows just as straight as a die. But it's funny, it always kind of reminds me of a zucchini, you know, like at the end of the summer in your garden. It's kind of overgrown and kind of rotten. And unfortunately for white fir, that's kind of how they are. They don't really have any strength, and just the slightest thing will cause them to bust up. So I was happy with that lay. Saved her out. Hemlock's the same way. They're just so fragile. Or they can be. So it's kind of hard to tell in the video, but this was actually fairly steep, and there was some hardwood that I wanted to leave for the landowner and right here. But this big red fir that I'm going to cut next, and this frame right here is kind of hard to tell, but it had quite a lot of wow and right at the butt that would be, you know, processed out at the landing. So I'm going to cut that as a high stump to ensure that I can get it. It's a pretty good sized tree, kind of max cut, and that way I can reach it and cut it and save it out, and I'm not losing anything. I just wanted to kind of mention that because low stumps are the way to go, and I'm a firm believer in that. We want every inch of that. Yeah, so here we go. We're on the other side. I'm back down on the south side of this draw. This is a group of cedar, literally growing in a group, which can be kind of challenging on tough ground to be able to take them off the stump, since they're growing so tight together. But this is a valuable group of trees for us and for the landowners. So give it a look and we'll see how I did. So I hope that's interesting, maybe informative, and as always, we appreciate your watching.
Yes.